And today we have a very, very special video for you. And that video is on how to put together a CV that stands out. A CV that stands you out from other candidates when you're applying for scholarships, when you're applying into universities in the United States or all across the world. One of the things that they request for is your CV or your resume. But one thing that you need to understand is there is a way for you to prepare your CV in order to make it stand out, that these are your skills, these are your accomplishments. You're trying to tell them that, hey, I'm a fit for your lab, and you shouldn't miss this opportunity. That's exactly what you're telling them. And your CV is a good way for you to make them see this. What have we done in this video? In this video, we've been able to tell you some of the do's and some of the don'ts. We're able to walk through the pass of CV. I feel if you're able to go through this, you would eventually be able to tweak your CV to make it really, really stand out. Another thing about this video is that there was a workshop session. I tell you, we're able to go through the CV of one of the participants. We gave the participant good feedback, things to work on, things not to include, and things to change. So I feel this would be great for you, because as you go through it, you also workshop your CV and make it really stands out for professors or for academic reviewers or for departmental reviewers, people that will be checking your CV as you send them out there for your applications. One thing that happens also in this webinar was that we didn't start recording on time, so you will see that the video started halfway, but you've not missed a lot. Basically, what you missed is just me asking from the audience, where are you joining us from? Then also another thing I asked from them is, why do you really want to study in the United States? Why do you want to study abroad? Because when you understand your why, when the purpose of a thing is known, then there won't be abuse. But when the purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. So when you understand the why of your studying abroad, it makes it easy for you to even craft a good CV. It makes it easy for you to craft a good personal statement or motivation letter. So that's why I would say, as you watch this video, feel free to drop where you are watching the video from, and also feel free to drop why exactly do you want to study abroad. Make sure it's not a long sentence. As much as possible, it should be like 10 words, something as short as that, just a sentence that describes this is why I really want to study abroad. And I feel you're going to enjoy this video. Sit back, watch, reflect on it, and make sure you apply the tips that we've shared in this video. Thank you very much. My name is Oluwatuyi. Please make a first class if you can do it. All right. So that's that. And next, local scholarships. If you're an undergraduate, when I was an undergraduate, I was on an Agbami Chevron scholarship for like 4 years, and that kind of made life easy for me. It will make it easy for you to even study when you're on a scholarship. So start looking for those opportunities that you can apply for even as an undergraduate. And of course, I would explain later. If you have these kind of things, there are things you will put under your awards and recognitions. You'll be like, oh, I won this award. I was able to get these scholarships. It looks good on your CV. All right. Another thing is find opportunities to collaborate on research with professionals. Try as much as possible to collaborate across board, both outside the university and inside the university. Publication effort will come out of this. It always looks good when a professor checks your CV and they see that at least you published one paper. It makes them know that when you come to the US or Canada or whatever, they are not going to bother too much about you. They know that, okay, you have what it takes to be able to write good research, because they want to be sure you have this skill, you can write, you can do great things. So I think another thing you should focus on is building relationship. It could be with your professors that you finish, maybe an undergraduate, you had an undergraduate in a school. You could speak to your professors and be like, hey, I want to write a publication out of my undergraduate degree. You could make collaboration with friends even on this call. Maybe you're in the same discipline. Say we are working on how to use AI to detect cancer in an human being. You just want to do a review on that. Say 3 people decide to come together. You just write a review on that, publish it. That's really great. It's going to look good on your CV if you have that. Okay, that's that. Volunteering. Okay, so opportunity to volunteer is really a very great CV help. It's going to help your CV a lot. So if you have on your CV that, oh, I've been able to work with SDG. For those of you that are serving currently, please take advantage of that. When I was serving, I think I was on SDG, advocating for different things. So this is the best time for you to do that. If you're an undergraduate, so you have several opportunity to engage in different things. Okay. There are some people that plan the event for today. Okay. So they also have that on their resume as we were able to plan an event that is helping undergraduates in Africa to get better. So those things look on your CV. Identify problems in your community, solve those problems, take initiatives, collaborate with international organizations. There are most of them I share them, but they are much more than that. Commonwealth, TFF, UNICEF, Waterhog, Durian, there are a host of them. I can't continue to mention all the names, but volunteering looks great on your CV. Okay. Another thing is be a leader somewhere. I mean, this is similar to what I said earlier, but beyond just volunteering, lead something. Because on a graduate school is very rigorous. So you need self-leadership to be able to do anything meaningful here. So that's why sometimes they need you to have led something. You are not somebody that your professor has to keep reminding you every day. Oh, Tuyi, have you done that work? Have you plotted that graph? Have you spoken to all our research collaborators on this? They need somebody that can take leadership by themselves. Currently, there are we're currently working on a grant, a $10 million grant. My professor is able to trust me to write the quarterly review. So they need somebody that could take leadership in that, not somebody that they'll be like, can this person really lead this? They want to be able to trust you with critical things. Okay, so that's why you start working on that. Take leadership roles in different organizations. If you can, if you have the opportunity, take it now. It's going to help you a lot. Okay, that being said, I'm done with that. Then another thing is get certification. Yano mentioned this yesterday, but I felt it's important. I also touch on it. If you have certifications, it doesn't have to be heavy duty certifications, like maybe you do a networking certification, Cisco, all of those. Even if it's something you do online like Coursera, Udacity, LinkedIn Learning, Udemy, DataCamp, Google, AWS, S3, they have a host of free certification you can get. Try to learn things around emerging technologies, things that are developing now. Data science, artificial intelligence, basic programming language, there are things that are important. No matter what kind of field you find yourself, learn those things and try to see how you can tailor it to some of the things you do. Some of you that probably follow update on the Nobel laureates this year, the physics and the chemistry, both of them, they did something related to artificial intelligence, machine learning, but they were able to apply that to both physics and chemistry, developing, I think, protein structure for one of those, and forgotten what those physics guy did. So that's just why it's important you get those certifications and start developing yourself in those areas. Another thing is join professional organization, either local or international. For example, American Society of Civil Engineers, as a student, if you have your university email, you can join for free. You don't need to pay anything. So it's better for you to divine what you are getting from this organization. If you want to join Toastmaster, you want to join Society of Engineers. I'm an engineer, so I'm advocating for engineering society, but there are other societies that you can join. Join things that are tailored down to your side. I know some of them requires money, but you can write them and say, hey, I'm a student from Nigeria. I want to join this society. I have a lot to offer. You never can tell. They might have some scholarship or funding for membership. Okay, so take advantage of that. Another thing, okay, I've talked a lot about this, that you should opportunities to publish. That's really great. So that's all about helpers of CV. So we are moving into what exactly should be your CV at this point. And I'm going to be starting with this poll. If you have questions, please drop them in the chat about what I've talked about and about other things I'll still talk about later on. But I want you to answer this question. How would you rate your CV at the moment? How would you really rate your CV? Would you rate it as something that is extremely good? I don't think you should be here if it's a 5. But how would you really rate your CV? Try to be honest with yourself. And yeah, I would wait a little bit while everybody drop their answers for that. John chapter 10, verse 26, he said, all the sheep I have, which are not of this fold, them also I must bring in. And they will and they will hear the voice of the shepherd. And there will be one sheepfold and one shepherd. There is a component of hearing the voice. They start, it's over 5, so rate yourself over 5, not over 10. But in a way, we can always convert that. For you, 5, that would be maybe 2.5. For 6, that would be 3. So, well, that's so fine. Okay. Well, we have about 8 people currently already state what they're. Okay, so everybody is in that 3 range. Like nobody's on a 4 or 5. All right. Well, some people are on 2. I don't know. Those of you that are on 2, can you like identify yourself? I really want to see what I can do to help those people on 2 so that even if it's possible for us to workshop your CV right here on the call, it's something I'm happy to do. So that we can workshop your CV and say, okay, what can you add, what can you remove, and all of those. But I'll go through all the structure first. But I would be happy to workshop somebody's CV on this call. If somebody is willing, like I want us to workshop my CV, then we can do it together. Well, that's okay. So if you are willing, I'm vulnerable enough to release your CV for us to workshop it together. That'll be good. Okay, so what do you hope to learn from about CVs today that you believe would help you in crafting your own? I want to know that too. Most especially if you've not crafted yours. Okay, some people said they are willing. I think one thing you can do is, this is me. Everybody wants to be. We have to choose one person. Okay. You have to choose one person. I'll leave it to the organizer to choose who they want us to workshop their CV. That's not where you belong. One of our first responsibilities to you is to help you connect to where you eventually belong. We'll accommodate you for so long in Dream Center. Where are the organizer of this event? Olayemi or Peter? Are you guys still here or you are sleeping already?
Yes, we are here. We are with you.
Okay, please take care of things in the chat. Let's know
Yeah,
we
yes.
really want to get on board in terms of workshopping the CV. All right, so most people, and somebody said proper structure for compelling academic CV, how to sell myself with respect to my experience, enlightenment on how to convincingly write, the proper structure. Okay, those are great. I've not crafted mine yet, and I've always thought I didn't have enough content for it. I already opened my eyes to what I already have. I'm hoping to learn more. Okay, that's good. Let's see if some other people can type in something that I feel will help them. Everything I need to know, that's what I want to learn. Mine isn't good enough. Can we get headlines of what should be in the CV? Headlines. Okay, yeah, I think at some point I will mention those. Okay. Olayemi,
Yeah,
Peter,
yeah.
what's happening? Killer
Yeah,
conclude.
we're
What's the conclusion?
choosing someone.
Yeah,
You
I'm
have to
speaking
pick
to someone.
somebody
That's it.
and that person will send it to you privately or something. I don't know.
Yes,
Okay,
I'm
yeah.
on it, sir.
Okay. I use the resume builder to write my CV. I want to know what it really entails. Can we get, okay. I did have to learn the rudiments. The first person is fair enough. Okay. I decided to learn the rudiments. Oh, I'm back here. That was a mistake. Oh, how did you get here? Okay. Is that learning? Okay, I think we are done with that. Let's just leave it. I wanted to start with this. That now this is for jobs, but most of us we're not applying for jobs, we're applying for schools, but it's similar. I just want to let you know that 75% of resumes they are rejected by ATS software. That's if you're applying for jobs, and they are never seen by humans. Every job ad that's received, let's say 50 resume, only 3% of those resume are sent results. I mean, gets a job interview. It is out of that they now say, okay, you can come for job interview. And mostly it's because of some of the things I'll be talking about now. Then before any professor will pay attention to your CV, I want you to listen to what I'm saying. Oh, I'm not on video. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm on video now. Before any professor would pay attention to your CV, they really want to read the code letter. I mean, the code emails. They want to read what you have to say, a summary of yourself first. Because when you are sending a code email, you're sending a summary of yourself. Okay, I'm Oluwatuyi. I finished among the top 5% of my class during my undergraduates. I won the Agwamishe scholarship. I blah, blah, blah. I finished with a 5.0 for my master's. I published this work. I saw your work. It's really great. These eyes align with my work. Everything I've said is a lot, but it has to be very short because you need something catchy, something that will get their attention. That code email is what will make them now, okay, I think this person is someone great. Let me check their CV. Now, when they are going to your CV, they want to see more. But how much of more do they want to see? Do they want you now to now bore them with 5 pages of CV or 10 pages? No. They need something concise, something hard as much as possible, not overly long. You understand? It has to be something short as much as possible. I would always advise 2 pages as much as possible, not going beyond that. Even if you have so much experience, try to tailor it down to at least 2 pages. And I know it's a little bit, there's so much context around resume, CV, what's the difference? Most time resume is more like you trying to have like an abstract view of all that a summary of everything you've accomplished. And it's mostly used for jobs. But when it comes to academics, I think I have a slide on that. Let me just move to that anyway. Okay. So when it comes to academics, you probably will be dealing with something longer. But for what many of you on the call today are applying for, you're applying for PhD, you're applying for master's, you want to get graduate assistantship, and you want to submit your CV. Your CV should not go beyond 2 pages. Let's say you're applying for a faculty position. That's when you'll be going beyond 5 pages. My CV currently is about 7 pages because I'm applying for some academic job. That's because of that. But if you're applying for PhD masters, please keep your CV to 2 pages. That's all you need. Okay. Then use bullet statement as much as possible, and it has to be action verbs. Avoid things like I, my, we, us. Not, I mean, you are not like I did this. No. It's better you do things like collaborated with Timileyin and this thing. They are from Harvard University. We are working on this cancer research. I initiated a new order in this company, and that has resulted into this many percentage of increase in the company. So you talk in that light, use action verbs, use things that are short, not too long, something that people can relate with when they are reading your CV. Okay? Oh, sorry about that. So another thing is layout matters. Layout really matters. So for example, like let's say a professor wants to hire students, they would add description. Even though I call it job description, it's also a job description. They would tell you I need a student that can use this, that. I need a student that is done with their masters. If they say all of those, it's important you lay it out well. If there are keywords, you want to boil it, highlight your achievements. Things I mentioned earlier, CV helper, say, oh, you are the one that you were the best in your school, you were the best in your department. Why won't you put that? You were on this list for about 7 semesters on campus. Why can't you put that? That's a good achievement that they want to see. You traveled for conference outside of the country. Wow, that's something you should put on your. They want to see it. So make sure you bold keywords, highlight achievement. And that is quantify your achievements. Okay, I think it's something I need to talk about a little bit. So many times, white people like statistics a lot. And it's just normal. For example, the way my mind thinks now, when I talk to people and they are talking, I say like, what's the fact? Can you give me statistics on this? Because that's the way they want to be sure that, okay, this person, yeah. So say you said, okay, I finished, I was the best in my class. Anybody can be best in their class. What if your class is just 5 people? It's different from saying I was number 1 out of a class of 100. That already speaks volume. Like they're like, wow, no, out of 100, this guy was first. It makes all the difference than you saying I was the best. You can be best in a class of 5 or class of 3. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. So they need to quantify the achievement. We worked on this, and that has helped Nigeria to increase how crude oil is being produced, and that is saving Nigeria every minute $100, something like that. You quantify, you put statistics there, that would really blow their minds. They're like, no, I need this guy. Okay. Another thing, customize your CV according to the job requirements, like description of. So each time you see an offer, try to, for example, let's say a professor. Now let's put it this way: a professor. A professor is in an area. You know, many of us we can venture into different areas. For example, I'm in the aspect of water resources, but there are many things I can venture into. I do computer modeling, but outside of that, I also do field work. I do lab work sometimes, but not all the time. So if let's say there's an offer in lab research, I can tailor my CV to include all of the things I've done on labs. Not like I want to get the lab work and I'm trying to talk about all my modeling work. Like, oh, I use this computer model, I did this, I developed this. It doesn't make sense to that lab because they want to see what you can do regarding the job they're advertising, the PhD offer, the professor, what is interesting to them. Always be sure that your resume or your CV now is tailored to that requirement that the professor. Okay, always include your soft skills. Okay, so there are many ways to get through this. So if some of you really wants me to talk about this soft skill, I can always share links on how you can know what your skills are. There are a couple of them out there that can help you know this is your skills, this is where your strengths are. But more importantly, because when it comes to the US, they want to be sure that you have soft skills. Are you a teamwork person? I'm used the kind of person that can do teamwork, because here I'm working with people from different departments. So if I'm not a team work person, I'm not the kind of person that loves teamwork, team bonding, I might not be able to survive it. And they need people like that. Okay, this person can do teamwork. Oh, this person can lead. Oh, this person is very, 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 it takes responsibilities. He has this high sense of responsibility. So they need all those things. But always include your soft skills somewhere in your CV. Dates should always be in chronological order from recent to previous. Not like you first put your primary school. By the way, your primary school has no place in your CV. I'll still talk about that maybe at some point, but let me, so that if I didn't get on it, your primary school, secondary school does not have a place because you've not done anything related, except if you did a science fair. Let's say you did a science fair, and right from then you've been developing something related to a cancer research you are now doing now. You can include it and say, oh, during my secondary school, I was part of a science fair. But it doesn't mean you should be putting, oh, I attended secondary school. No, they don't need that. Your bachelor's is enough to include as part. But Then your experience, put it in also recent to previous. That date should be in chronological order. It's very, very important. Use active language. I think I mentioned it earlier. Active verb. Don't just use passive. Let them know that, oh, yes, I am the one that did this. Okay. Well, this is a little bit tricky. It's very tricky. Don't use buzzwords, but again, I would also say team player is not necessarily hard, but there are other words you can use instead of that. But when people keep saying the same thing, for example, let's say 3 people submit their CV to me, Peter, Olayemi, Temi, they both submitted their CV. All of them said they are team player, they are detail-oriented, they are result-driven. There are a lot of other soft skills you can have outside of that. So don't just use buzzwords, things that are common. These are things everybody is putting on their CV. No, you can use other things. Okay. So try to see that you use something that is distinct based on your skills anyway. If you're a team player, you could also be somebody that is competitive in a positive sense. People don't want to put down their CV, but competition in a positive sense could mean that you always compete against yourself. Like, I always want to be the best version of myself. That could be your competition. That could be your strength in terms of competing. Okay. All right. So that's that with then filler words. Also, another thing you should avoid is filler words. Sometimes we always want to include things. You want to match it in. You're like, oh, I want my CV to really look great. So you try to put things like frequently, efficiently, diligently, thoroughly. Try to avoid those filler words if you can. Try to go straight to the point. We did this, like I said earlier, statistics, percentage, numbers, put them on your CV. They want to see, okay, that's avoid grammatical error. That's if a professor is checking your CV and they see that, oh, there's so much error in this, they will feel like, no, this guy is probably going to bomb my lab one day. Because if you can make mistake and you don't pay attention to your CV, it means that you will not pay attention to the gas that you are working with in your lab, and someday you'll burn the office, burn everywhere. So they need someone that pays attention to details. And that's why it's very important you avoid grammatical error. Structure your CV well enough, read it enough for you to be able to know. Okay, another thing is try not to include things like gender, religion, excessive personal details, like what's your age. They don't need those details. Don't include them. Okay. Another thing, consistent indentation, like line spacing. It's always important that you do that correctly. Make sure your line space, if it's 1, let it be 1. If it's if the indentation is okay, I just want to make it like 1.5, make sure it is that. Don't try to overly complicate things for yourself. Some of the highlights of what should be in your CV, you should have things like contacts. It's basic. And your major contacts for many of you that are in Nigeria or that you're in Africa, what you should include is just your email. That's the best way they can reach out to you. Your name should be there and maybe your contacts. Soft skills, education, include your GPA. I mean, I checked the CV recently that the person did not include their GPA. Sincerely, what's the point? If somebody did not see your GPA on the code email and they try to share your CV, there is still no GPA there. They can't really see what you did with your university days. It doesn't make sense. So work, research, teaching experience, you can either make it work. So some of you now, maybe you have work experience. Try to make sure it's related to your to what you're applying for. If you have research, say you worked as a graduate research assistant in your university currently, include that. That's a good thing. I worked on the lab. I was able to develop these. I mixed 2 things together. At the end product is this. List those things. Teaching experience. Say maybe you were a teaching assistant for a professor, or you were able to grade a script or things like that. They need those. Try to include those teaching experience. Honors and awards. I think I already talked about that. Leadership experience. Yeah. Volunteering roles, certification. Yeah, you need to include all of those on your CV. So at this point, what I would do is I would take questions now. Let me check what's the time now.
Okay.
Oh, I'm not being spotlighted for everyone. Anyway, okay. Yeah, so the first
Sorry.
thing now is I would like to get questions. If you have questions, then I believe some of you might have
If you have
questions.
questions, you can raise up your hand.
So you can drop your questions. Then I would say that Faraday Dunsin. I'm not sure. Maybe you should send your CV to.
Yeah, I've sent the CV to your WhatsApp, so it's on your
Okay, my
WhatsApp.
WhatsApp.
All right,
Okay,
but
to
there was a
WhatsApp.
question when you were talking about GPA. Somebody was asking about medical students. What about medical students with CGPA? How do they record that? Can you hear me?
Okay, medical student with what? With they don't have CGPA.
I don't know, but we have medical students on the call,
Yeah, they
so
don't. I mean, I know at some point they don't. Temi is
yeah.
probably could attest to that. But I believe at the earlier stage they do. So if you don't, I mean, they understand that. Yeah. Temi said they are without GPA. But in the end, you still finish with something. Was it distinction? Right, Temi? Is there no distinction? Sure, there's no distinction, there's no, you still finish with something. At least I know there are people that will say they had distinction in all their subjects in medical school. So you could say 9 distinction or whatever the case may be. So there's still something to quantify. It doesn't have to be if if you're a medical student or if you are a medical graduate. So there's a way to just quantify, okay, I had this many distinction or pass. So or you could okay, I'm ranked this in the class or whatever the case may be. Just try to, or you could even spotlight things. Say you did physiology or you did something on whatever, you could spotlight certain subjects. For example, in one of my course, advanced hydrology in school, I had like a 90% or whatever in the exam, a 98% or thereabouts, and the best in the subject. So I could decide to include that and say, oh, during my undergrad, I had this blah 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 in this course. If it's something related to what I'm applying for. So please drop your questions. Um, what I'll do currently is I'll try to show my own CV myself. It's not a complete CV. I'll show my CV. I'll also show the CV of Emmanuel. Emmanuel will not really be angry with me that I show the CV. He's currently in the US doing his PhD as well. Okay. I would answer the question later, but let me still try to show some CV first. And after that, okay, this is my sample CV. Okay. Okay, this is a little bit incomplete, but it is a 2-pager CV. It's just 2 pages. I believe you can all see this. Okay. So this is a 2-pager CV, and the first thing you notice about this is it's a little bit well structured such that everything is not just all over the place. Like, oh, they can see clearly this is conference attended, this is volunteer experience. These are the publication I selected. Not all my publications, just some publications that I said. These are the awards and recognition. These are the leadership position I took up. This is my work, research, teaching experience. I didn't include everything. In fact, I didn't include all my teaching experience, research and all. I just decided to show that just so that everybody can know what I'm talking about. So you see, it's structured. This is my name, really very bold. This is the email. My phone number, anyway. You may not need to do that if you're in Nigeria because nobody can call you. Your LinkedIn, you can put it because that's a professional way of them checking. Okay, let me check this person out. All right. And you can also embed the link in this such that they can just click on it. All right, so this is my education. Okay, University of Debris, I did this. This was my CGPA, blah, blah, blah. This is my concentration. Most especially if you're applying for certain things, try to include, this is really your expertise. Then I talked about the software I can work with. Okay, I can work with ArcMap, I can work with Python, I can work with R, I do SAS. I talked about all the software. It kind of brings them to a point where they know, okay, this person knows what they're doing. You talked about related coursework. These are the courses I've taken. You would rather be talking about things that is related to your area, not necessarily things that you don't need. Okay, so okay, I'll talk about work experience, leadership, awards, publications if you have that, volunteer experience if you do, conference attended. I didn't include everything, but you have to tailor it down to what you feel is important. Okay, that's that. Let's cancel this. I'm going to show you Emmanuel's CV now, just briefly as well. Okay. Let me stop sharing so that I can find Emmanuel's CV. You can still drop your question, please, so that please, I would say you should try to drop your questions. I really want to answer as many questions as possible. Only for okay, Emmanuel. And if you check our page as well, you will get to see you'll get to see many CV. I mean, if you check our Telegram page, for some of you that are already there, you'll see some CV samples. Maybe it's going to be different for people who are like medical students and all of those, but it's going to be different depending on your field. Okay, this is Emmanuel's CV. I'm sharing his CV. His CV will be different now because he's been in the US for some time. But this was the CV shared with us back then. I'm trying to share this because I saw some things there. Then he started with his education. Look at what I'm saying. He said class rank 3 out of 108. That's already sending a signal to that person that this guy is good. This was what he worked on. His thesis, relevant coursework, he mentioned that. His teaching and work experience, he listed them as well. You could see it's a little bit different from mine, but he also makes sure that everything is standing out. I don't know if we are getting that. So it's like, okay, this is my teaching and work experience. This is my relevant research experience. Conference attended, you see. Publication, he was able to mention that as well. Professional affiliations, I'm not sure if I listed that in mine, but I think I did. So you need that professional affiliation. Leadership experience, you could see. Then he included some volunteering role. Then you could see that he's making those things stand out. His volunteer and community development service is able to include that as well. Relevant skills and softwares. This is a soft skill. So you could see how this is awards and honors. It's just 2 pages. And that's all he did. And that's just the same thing that you need to really get through the CV. There are a couple of CV templates on the Telegram page. I think you should join that page. All right. So are there questions? So let's try to see Johnson's CV. She has gladly
Okay,
allowed
yeah,
us.
there is a question. There is a question here. Can you hear me?
Wait, let's go through Johnson's CV and try to give us some feedback.
Okay.
Although it's a little bit tricky because your CV is also in PDF. So I'll just try to see I can make. Firstly, now, I mean, checking this, I think it kind of stands out because I'm trying to avoid showing your number anyway. Okay, it kind of stands out because I mean, checking your contact, I'm not sure. Let's see. Okay, I think there are some things there that is not needed. Okay, so like you don't need your address for maybe for application, their job application in Nigeria. Maybe they need your address, but yeah, if you're applying outside the country, please remove your address from it. They don't really need it. And also your age, all of those things, they don't need it. Please try to remove that from your CV if you're applying outside the country. But I don't know what's obtainable in Nigeria, so Nigeria may be a different kettle of fish entirely. Now, this objective, I'm a young, innovative, it's a buzzword already, young, innovative, resourceful is a buzzword. It's something that everybody uses. Okay, so I'm passionate about my work. I'm a good team player. I strive to apply the best of my clinical expertise. I hope to gain my experience in the management of patient care and to collaborate, contributing to a growing body of knowledge in the medical profession and healthcare at large. So actually, the last sentence stands out more for me than the first few one that is talking about young innovative resource, because they are just buzzwords that everybody will be innovative resourceful medical doctor. So like, you want to talk about what exactly is your interest. Say you are interested in neurological disorder and you've done some things on it. You could say, oh, I'm currently training in different aspects of medical field, blah, blah, blah. But this is particular, maybe, I mean, my interest has been in neurological others. I'm training to become a better, blah, 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 in that area. I feel, in my opinion, the last sentence really is still way more, it still stands out for me, because you talk about the fact that you're interested in patient care. They need something that is unique to you, not just something that every other person talks about. Later on, you can talk about your skills in terms of you are a team player, um, but young innovative is also no, it's out of the. But team player, yeah, you can always include that in your soft skill later, that you're a team player, or if you have other skills, leadership skills, sense of responsibility, and all of those. So you can include that. This objective is either you avoid it altogether or try to make it something really very unique to you that no other person has. Try to touch, don't go too complex, but try to touch on something that is unique to you. You're working on, oh, I even see that you work with, okay, you are different posting. That's all right. Okay, but I want to commend your CV anyway, because not too many people have this kind of CV you have. I feel your CV is really, it stands out too, because everyone can see this is your education, this is your experience, more sections. I'm not sure what this is. I would avoid this, or what's this? I'm not sure of that. Yeah, this is good. Well, I want to commend all this anyway, because you have everything standard, so people know that this is the project you worked on. But for this project, I would say you should try to, okay, so the way this works, if you check my CV, oh, am I sharing my screen? Okay, I'm sharing my screen. All right. So like this project, you should try to have some bullet point under it. Anybody can be part of a project and not do anything. But if you list like, okay, I was the one that distributed, say you distributed something to breastfeeders, I mean nursing mothers in Ekiti. Okay, I was able to distribute this thing to 7 nursing mothers on this date. I worked with so blah blah blah. And what's the feedback from the people? You always talked about this is what you did. This was the result you get out of that. So I feel you should have some bullet point under this. I think that's just one thing I have. If you have a project, try to have bullet point under it. And also for your experience as well. Your experience is great, but you also need some bullet point under it. What did you do when you were working on a surgery posting? Like, you definitely did some critical things. You don't need to go. I know when it comes to medical field, your area is a little bit very delicate. You don't want to go into in-depth of patient conditions, but try to talk about, okay, I mean, this is the experience, specific experience, be specific, not just as you are in the surgery. People could be posted there and not do anything. Just have a bullet point. Okay, under that, okay, we worked on this, blah, 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 this condition, and I was able to learn this, or this was what I was able to do. They want to be sure you're working while you are there. This more section, I will remove it completely, in my opinion. I will just remove it. I don't know what that meant or what you're trying to achieve with it, but it's hard for people to really pick what it is about.
So I would say just have some bullet points on things that you've done under each of it. I'll try to bring my screen, my CV over again just to show you what something. Oh, where's my CV? Let me stop sharing first, then I'll try to open my CV. Okay, sample CV. All right, so what I was talking about is the bullet I was talking about. Okay, you monitor this, blah, blah, blah. Like the percentage, it was 8 technicians using GIS operated tractors. For example, like when I was talking about my awards, I said, okay, this was awarded on research. This is a $10,000 worth of this thing. There were 29 individuals. Try to list what each of those are. This was a admission run to support my undergraduate education. So I appeared on a Dean's recognition role 6 consecutive times. But then you try to list all of those. Okay, these are my volunteer roles. This was what I did. I'm not just on Engineers Week. This was what I served on. I served on a committee that developed this. I organized this professional webinar, and I was on top for food. So try to list for under this project you did, because we can't really edit your CV. But what we can do is just to give you idea on how you can make it better. I would add. Try to see if I can make comment on this. That's a okay. This we can just do this. There should be a way I can make comment and come. Okay, yeah, I would. Okay, just bullet points on what your experience is. Yeah. And it could just be one under each. So it could just be one thing. It could just be one thing that you decide to have, or say two, and you decide to have that. But try to be sure that you include those things. I like the fact that you have references. That is great. Project also, I say you should have that. And I feel there should be other things you should have. For some of you, maybe you've not had some of the experience I shared earlier. Try to hunt for conferences, try to hunt for things that would be a CV helper, that would benefit your CV more. I'm not sure of this. I will remove this or maybe rename it. I'm not sure what it's trying to, maybe rename it or just remove it completely. Completely. Okay. But I was commend your CV, that your CV is great. I like the design. It just stands out. The colors are just so amazing. Yeah, so I would say your CV is already in a good stand. You just need to put a few more things in. References, I'll put them last anyway. I don't think people need your language. I didn't even see that. Except if you're applying for a job, say you're applying to World Bank, or you're applying to some industry that says specifically they are looking for people with certain, they won't be looking for people with Yoruba language. They'll be looking for people with, say, English and French. Okay. Just give me 1 minute, please. Okay. So I'm sorry for that. I needed to attend to something very fast. Okay. So yeah, language, except if you're applying for an international job that requires you to speak multiple languages, and it won't be Yoruba, so I will remove it. I sincerely speaking, I'll remove it. Except if you're applying in Nigeria, definitely if you're applying for a job in Nigeria, please include it because they want to be sure you can speak Yoruba a bit to the patient. Okay, yeah, interest, change advocate, wastewater recycling. Wow, that'll be serious. How would that really? I like public speaking because that relates to medicine, but agriculture means all of these are vague. I can't really pick easily how they relate to your area of expertise. But public speaking, yeah, it can still connect. You have to make, they say, if it's a medical, let's say if you say something like, I know there are some agriculture that are related to medicals, like medicinal plant, all of those things. If those are things, say you mentioned something like medicinal plant now, it kind of rings bell because it's connected to you. Except if because you won't be able to explain to people, try to keep your interest within something that they can easily connect. You don't really need things like hobbies on your CV, which I'm glad is not here. All right. So I think your CV is great already, in my opinion. So you should just include some too much personal details from your CV, except if you are applying within Nigeria and they requested it. But if you are applying outside the country, please remove your age, all of those. Nobody needs it, or your gender, or yeah, too much personal details. Please remove it. Try to include highlights. Okay, I say you should remove this buzzword that everybody uses. Anybody can be this. Try to look for something unique that stands you out. I feel this last sentence, it stands out so much that you're into patient care. Patient care just stands out to me. If I were you, I would probably bold it so that people can see this is really what you're passionate about. Because you don't need to mention passionate because they know what you're passionate about. Before they know what you're passionate about. Yeah, medicals doesn't have result, blah, blah, blah. So, well, I think you can just make it just your, if you're applying to, if you're applying outside the country, remove your primary school and your secondary school, just your university. But at your university, you have to include other things there, like say what was your course? If you check Emmanuel's CV I shared with you, what kind of courses, what were the relevant courses that are related to what you're applying to? What are the relevant courses? Relevant courses. I know medical school is a little bit complex. If you had some distinctions, you can include it under it. But yeah, if you don't have that, you can stay out of it. Yeah, yeah, distinction. Distinction. Okay. Then, I mean, if you were part of some things, just include things other just to show that you were really, I know medicals also, you don't have area of expertise yet. You are just still working across board. So please try to, if you're applying outside the country, please remove your primary school and your secondary school from it and try to focus on your university and try to make it more robust, what you did. All right, so I've talked about experience. Most sections I feel it's not there. What I didn't see there is your volunteering roles, your leadership. I know you had some leadership role. If you are the Johnson, I know, I think you probably have some leadership role. Even if it's a church leadership role, say when you were on campus, say you were like, you led some team, but you have to be careful around how you coin your word. So yeah, you don't be showing that, say, for example, what you were doing as a leader on campus, you were leading prayers. That wouldn't enter your CV. But say you were caring for people, or you were able to lead 30 different people. That's good. That's something to include. You were able to provide help for those who were stranded on campus. Just things like that, things that shows the welfare side of you as a leader. That's a very good thing on your CV that could stand out. I feel I've been talking a lot, but I feel your CV is already great, Dunsin. So we can only add things there. But I've checked CV that are so disorganized. They are not structured. They are scanty. You can't even see anything there. So your CV is already good enough. Then if you can add some computer skills to it, that is great. Even as a medical doctor, we are entering into a world of AI and machine learning. So try to see if you can maybe learn some few skills that could help you to be computer literate. If you have those skills, it will be a benefit to you. Well, that's all I could just say about Dunsin's CV. I feel she already has a great CV. Thank you for agreeing for sharing your CV with us. I to just look over it. And there's no CV that is perfect. My CV is not perfect. Okay. So my own 7-page CV, I still had someone who had to go through it for me for academic job. And I still get feedback from people as well. So there's no one that is already has everything. So getting feedback is super great. All right. That is that about that. So I'll still be open to questions before we end it tonight. Questions. If you have questions around getting your
Okay,
getting offer, drop it on
thank
the
you.
chat.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Alan.
All right, so we have two questions on the chat box. So the first one goes thus. Is it possible to apply for master's scholarship if I don't have any publication yet? That's question one.
Do you want me to answer the question?
Okay,
Um,
so
or you
the
want to
second
answer the
question
question? You want me to
is
answer? Okay.
if you can remember them all. So the second
Okay, let
question
me
is
answer it
okay,
just as you asked them. The question to
all right.
the answer to the first one is just simple. Yes, you can apply without publications. Yes, you can. I don't
Okay.
think there's any other. So, like I said, applying outside the country. You know, earlier I shared some CV helpers with many of you. Hopefully, you were able to track it down. The webinar is also being recorded, so you can access the record. If you're on the Telegram page, that will be shared subsequently. That would help you. But one thing I also want to tell you all is that the application is not really, it's not something restricted to a particular thing. It's broad, it's holistic. They will check other things. They won't just check your publications. Yeah, say you didn't have a publication, but you write a section on the newspaper where you talk about environmental justice, or even if it's social media post. Say somebody like Dunsin now, maybe she's doing an advocate on Facebook where she posted every single day on patient care for 365 days. Sincerely, that will blow the mind of anybody because they see consistency there. They see the fact that you can develop content, even though it's not a publication that is, I mean, the scientific publication we all think about, that's still something. It has to be holistic. You are part of a volunteering this thing. You publish these on the society. So those are other things you can include. It doesn't have to be that you have a publication to get a master's. There are people that do not, and they still get scholarships.
Okay,
That I
so
don't know if I answered that question.
so the second question goes thus. You address the use of relevant work or research experience. What do I do if I'm applying for opportunities in a new field?
Okay, well. I like that question. Okay. So now this is a little bit tricky, but you need to have a way to say, for example, like Johnson mentioned a couple of things that she has done. But I'm not sure if she has done things on maybe I know they've maybe I'm not sure I saw internal medicine where you did, let's say, kidney. She's not worked with kidney, but she's worked with other things. But there's a way you can always link things and say, okay, I believe that same thing will be relevant. You just have to find a way to link it up. Say, for example, you want to apply to artificial intelligence field, and what you've worked on basically is data science. You can have a way of linking it to that area. Though sometimes it can be tough, because when you've not been in an area, it will be tough for you to be able to get an offer there, but you can always find a way of linking it. Another thing is this, I believe someone asked this question. So if you feel that there's an area you're trying to apply for, start developing yourself in that area. You could take Coursera courses. So while you talk about these are your experience, try it as much as possible. Be careful with the choice of words. Try to link it up to what you're applying for, even if it's not completely related. But at the same time, take courses online that would position you to be a better candidate for that. I don't know if you get what I'm saying in that regard. So please start developing yourself in that area. You could take internship if you see the opportunity, work with people so that that would be something that would benefit you over time. But I feel you are still in a good state, so please start developing yourself now. That's what I can say about that. Any other
Okay.
question?
Yeah, here's another question. Still about CGPA. You mentioned that it should be included on the CV. In the case where it is not a strong upper, okay,
Mm.
3.51 to 5.00, won't it be shooting oneself even if there is
Okay,
sufficient experience?
all right. So I feel now here's it. Here's the game. Before someone is going to check your CV, that means they've seen something that stands out on the letter you're writing to them. So not including it, eventually they will still ask for it. Say, when you're applying to admission into the university, they will still ask for your CGPA. That's not the only thing they are looking for. Just include it there. Just include it there. Yeah. In your personal statement, for example, you could say, "Oh, I live in the world poverty, the world poverty capital in Nigeria." That's why you were not able to make a perfect CGPA. That's just a joke, but it could be challenges. Say your parents are not wealthy enough for them to sponsor you, so you have to find a way around things for yourself. That's why you didn't make a good CGPA. So in your personal statement, try to make a case for yourself that this was why I had this low CGPA. So that they can always, yeah, they would understand with you that, okay, but your CGPA is not all they are looking for. Say now you have a very low CGPA, but you've attended conferences outside the country. There are people with first class that have not. Now, I want to tell you guys something. There are people that are made first class that have not gotten international scholarships. Okay? So you should know it's not only CGPA. There are people that are applying for opportunities they made first class, but they don't have offers. I know there's a place of grace, God's grace in all of this as well. So you all should know that God has a major role to play in helping you also secure a scholarship, because in the end, it's not of him that runs, it's not how much your CV is, it's of God that showeth mercy. Okay. I mean, the also says prepare for the day of battle, safety is of the Lord. So it's still the Lord that would give you triumph when it comes to getting scholarships abroad. But one thing you should always know, your CGPA is not the only thing. If it's low, include it, but try to also project other things that you have. You don't have a very strong CGPA, but you led different team, or when you're on campus, you were president of SUG, or you led JCI, or you were secretary of medical fellowship, or whatever the case may be. Try to raise that, because they need somebody that is balanced, not somebody that has a good CGPA but does not have any other thing in addition to that. That would just be my advice in that regard. Okay.
Okay,
Is there any
so
other
and the
thing?
last question we have here is, okay, someone is just asking that he would like a review on his CV, though there is one he has been using to apply for remote international jobs, and he really wants to know what's wrong with his CV. So that was
Okay.
so.
Um, So in that regard, if you like a review on your CV, I can always review CVs, but I cannot guarantee for everyone because everybody can now keep writing me. I usually review CV for people, but because of the nature of my schedule currently, it's not something I can always guarantee. Sometimes it takes a lot of time before I will get back, and it's not a good thing for you. So I would say, if you can listen to everything I've said in this call, you should do a self-reflection on your CV and see what exactly should you include. What should you remove from your CV? I don't know if you get what I'm saying. Do a self-reflection yourself and see what are the things. Then try to check it through with your friends, colleagues, and see, can they really check, is there any typo in your CV? Is there anything that is not making sense? Yeah, is it not well structured? They can tell you all those things without holding back. But if you really feel you need a review from me and you can wait, then you should send me a message on LinkedIn. LinkedIn would be the best place for you to connect with me. Then we can take it up from there. But you would have to be patient to wait, even if I didn't get back in time. All right, so that's
Okay.
that
Yeah.
about that.
So it seems we have no other questions.
All right, so I think everyone,
All right.
it was
So
great.
please, you can send in your LinkedIn URL to the chat box. So some people would like to have it.
The name to say,
Or
I'm using brain conference. Okay.
um,
Well, this is my CV link. Okay, so yeah, so you can always reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm more than happy to help, but
all right.
sometimes it takes time. Okay, are
So
there
thank.
questions? Any more questions? The last minute
I'm not
question.
sure.
If you want to unmute your mic to ask, feel free. We need to, even if it's something outside of CVs, just something that you have question about, make sure you don't miss the opportunity. Okay. And if you do not, I would say, so I always say something at the end of each webinar that I have, that you've wasted your time today. You could have been sleeping. So you've wasted your time if you did not do anything with everything you've had today. If you didn't go back home to do something around your CV, try to make it better, then you've wasted your time. You could have just decided to sleep and not come over for this webinar. So you've done, I mean, the sacrifice you've done is coming to this webinar. Now, what will make that sacrifice complete is you ensuring that you go ahead and do something with it. There was a time that I was attending a lot of webinar and I was not doing anything with it. So I made up my mind I will stop these webinars now and I will start applying everything I've learned. And that was what I did. So that made it was a game changer for me. So don't just attend this meeting without doing something with it. So I would say, please do something with it. And thank you everyone for coming tonight. Thank you to the organizers. I'll hand it over back to Olayemi. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. We are indeed grateful. Okay. Someone is asking about personal statement and SOP. Oh, actually, we had a session on that yesterday. So you might want to check the recording. So you can join the group on Telegram, and that is where we are going to be sharing the recording too. So I don't know, but if Mr. T still want to say one or two things about it, I think that's
No,
fine.
no, Yano is a very great guy. So he's talked
All right.
about yesterday. Just listen to the
All
recording.
right. All right. Thank you so much about that. And we are indeed grateful. So one thing I would also like to add is I dropped a link on the chat box. That's for those that are into STEM. Check Scientific Latino. You can see a lot of CV samples, a lot of personal statement samples that you can use as a guide. Please do not plagiarize. You can use them as a guide for your own essay. You can use them as a guide for writing your CVs too, together with what our facilitators has explained to us tonight. So, and he also said, I will also take it from his last words, you should heart on what you've learned. So you can't just listen and listen for listening's sake, because these have no benefit if you are not applying them. So thank you so much everyone for coming tonight. Thank you for staying to the end. Thank you, our scholar Oluwatuyi Olowoyeye. We appreciate you a lot, and thank you to the organizers of this. So we appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much, so much. So we can start exiting the meeting now. So the meeting has finally come to a close. Thank you so much.